Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, P Funk, thinking right out here in my lab. And I'm in two books. I got some information from one book that's going to coincide with the other. So I'm going to combine these two lessons and make it a good one. So I'm going to break down them Greeks for you. How about that? What they thought about us, but they didn't tell us, okay? I'm getting a page of this book. This is the front cover page. The book is right here, but, I do work to the books. I get used to them. Okay, one of my favorites too. Now about the contribution civilization. Check it out. Maybe $20. Okay, best $20 I ever spent. But back when I was going to getting knowledge, the price $20. All that information. This book got buku knowledge in there. All these books I got, and when I was buying them, I asked the deal. I said, "Man, this knowledge is expensive." He said, "Nah, my man. Try the price for ignorance." I said, "Okay. Give me the books." So I'm a book lover. I'm still reading. I'm old school. All right. So let's get to the lesson. We'll have some fun. I got the teacher hat on. It's going to be a lesson. Try to make it quick and short. So just information that fits in what I'm already doing with the other book we're in, Origins. Okay. Let's go. This is all black lessons. Let's go. Writers on 25 will live by storytelling. Story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's handle our business. Right thinking mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking's way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? You will when I get through, because that's what I do. All right? Understand that, and it's rhetorical. And if you don't have an answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do. For you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm your spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself and to my yacht, be true. Ooh, I got some information from old school. These three guys right here, bad men, okay, in their own rights, and three together make it that much better. They okayed the information that's in this book. Some of it coming from them guys. I'm going to read a few excerpts. But right now, let's start with right thinkers. Let's talk about the description of the Nubians by the Greeks, of the Egyptian and Nubian, And the Greeks, how the Greeks renamed almost everything and everybody. And why? Let's talk about it. I got a problem with them people, and this is one of the reasons why I had the problem. So here we go. Information. It says when the Greeks came into contact with the dusky inhabitants of Africa and even Asia, they called them burnt faces. Obviously, they had to be of a different color, white. Because to them, black, they didn't say black, they said burnt face. Okay, which is fine. Okay, their description, that's what we got describing them. And the Greek word for burnt was ethos. Ethios. And the word for the face was ops. So instead of burnt face, they call it Ethiopians or Ethiopians. They, again, that name. We was Taseti, Akibalan, okay, they, Tamari, Kemet, all these names that we called ourselves, we end up being called by the name that they gave us. Many other words currently used to describe ancient Egypt. And ancient and Egypt shouldn't go together. Ancient Kemet. Egypt ain't ancient. Well, the Greeks called them that. That's why. Greeks called everybody. Moving on, I ain't going there. But this, I'm going to give you a lesson. Okay, I ain't going to give my input about a whole bunch of because the lesson speaks for itself. How about that? So we're not in that. So now you got many words currently used to describe ancient Egypt and its cities, and the artifacts and the historical personalities are not indigenous and were derived from the Greeks. Everything when I'm giving my lessons, I had to learn two names, Haru and Horus. He should just have one name. His name is Haru. The Greeks call him Horus. His mother's name is Iset. The Greeks call her Isis. Father name Asar. They call him Osiris. And those are names that everybody know them by because they put that out to the world. Moving on, just want to let you get a little history, all right? Now, watch this. Now, that derived from the Greek, the Arabic, French, and the British interpretations. They all went with the same thing, okay? For example, the word Egypt is of Greek origin. That pisses me off. Why? And was originally used, what? To describe our ancient capital cities of Menes of Memphis. Again, we call it Menes, they call it Memphis. Today, the word Egypt refers to the entire nation. John G. Jackson provides an additional insight into the evolution of this country's name. Again, let's go back to where it comes from, who gave it to us. It may be interest to the reader to know what? That the ancient Egyptians did not call themselves Egyptians. The name was invented by the Greeks. For my first 10 years after high school, I studied Greek mythology. 10 years. Until I found out that all that stuff that they were telling me about, they never mentioned where they got it from. When I started studying, went to Egypt, everything came so easy to me. Well, I already know all of this, just the name was changed. And it's playing out perfect. Why? I'm seeing it right here for myself. I lived this. I know that part of it. And they're saying it right here. Let me finish it up. I want to get a little personal experience. Again, I got a problem with them. Why? What's this? Now, the Egyptians, the name was invented by the Greeks, the first Greek visitors to Egypt. And when they came, that wasn't the name Egypt. In the 7th century BCE. That means we went from 7,000 to 700 BCE. And that's what they came in, and watch this, were greatly impressed. Now, they was impressed by our temples of Ptah, Ptah, at Memphis, right? They regarded it as the grandest. Now, this is the little building in Memphis. They didn't get to see Karnak. They didn't get to see the splendor. So they know right there. It regarded as the grandest structure in the Nile Valley. And they afterward referred to this ancient land as Ptah, the land or the temple of Ptah. People told you what it was. Now, in the Greek language, watch this. Ptah became, you ready? Aiguptos. Aiguptos spelled Aiguptos. And under the Roman rule, the name was Latinized into Aegyptus. Aegyptus, from whence we get the name Egypt. So you took the Greeks and the Romans to come up a name for us. Just saying. See this guy here? This is one of the first pharaohs or the kings to unite Upper and Lower Egypt through warfare, through battle, and he conquered. So he was considered the first pharaoh, the first Norman. They called him King Norma. They call him Menes. His name was also Aha. These are all, they confused the people who studying for either their own personal reasons or whatever, not knowing and understanding. But they got all these different names, but this is what the Greeks did. Now watch this. Memphis was the site of the first capital of Egypt, and named in honor of who? Menes, okay, and the ruler who unified the two lands of upper, southern, and lower northern. Egypt, because the Nile Valley runs from south to north, it goes this way. South is up, north is down. And Americans say the Africans got it backwards. If you set your compass by south, then you facing that way. If you got north, it's going that way. That's Yahweh. But the Egyptians had a river that ran opposite to that. So who got it backwards? Moving on. There's another little tidbit there. All right. But now, again, it is important to note that Menes was the Greek name for the African ruler whose name was this, was originally Narmer or Aha. How did he become Menes? Because the Greek says so. The city was so vast that it was once described by Arabs who traveled in the Middle Ages as the stretchings of a day's journey in any direction. That means north, east, south, west, you can walk a day long. That means a lot of space. Like being out on the ocean, you look around, man, you don't see land nowhere. Where the hell would you go if something happened? That scares the out of me. That's personal. It's a little personal phobia I got. When I don't see land, I freak out. All right, so, but they said it's a day's walk in any direction. All right, that's how big it was. All right, now it described. And little remains of this historical site. John Anthony West, the author of The Traveler's Key to Ancient Egypt, describes its significance this way. In ancient Egypt, Memphis was called Enab Hajj, the White Wall, possible referring to the great enclosures wall of the Saqqara, the first pyramid built Saqqara nearby in the Middle Kingdom, and it was called Tawi, that which binds the two lands, binds the two lands. Some scholars, again, believe that the name of one of the New Kingdom temples at Memphis, Hekapatah, the temple of Ka, the temple of the Ka, or Ptah. Ka means the spirit, okay? And in the source of what? The Greek Aegyptos, from which both Egypt and what they call Coptic, Memphis is believed to be Greek corruption of what? Menifer, which means established in beauty. They changed everybody's name to suit their fancies. Never mind, if I tell you my name is P-Funk and you call me something else, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to lie, they keep doing it either. I'm going to correct you. Some people go with that. If your name is Bobby or Robert, they can call you either one. My little brother's name is Lawrence. They call him Larry. I asked him, why you answered that? Don't call you Lawrence. Simple, correct them. Moving on, but yeah, that name thing, the Greeks is big on that, and we get to break that down in a minute. All right, we got something I got to pay. Yeah, we good. All right, I gotta wrap this up. All right, I just got to move on. But now, watch this. Now the Greeks changed everybody's name. Historically, in the Old Kingdom of Memphis, there was a seat of the administrative, which was the seat of the administrative and the religious power of ancient Egypt. Now, during this time, the term double White House. We got a White House now. We need to paint it black. Not the White House, but we put black people in it to run it. And was also used to describe the painted mud brick palace in which the king lived. Got that? Which was constructed within the White Wall. The kings of Egypt were later given the title Pharaoh. By who? By a foreign ruler. Wonder who could that be? It is a word which means great house and is derived from the term Farah, with the P-R-A-H. Incidentally, the word Pharaoh is also of foreign origin. The term was first used in what they called the New Kingdom by the Asians to describe the king of Egypt. Okay, again, John West also described the same of the many problems created by who? Greeks. Now, we ain't using the name to be racist, but we could say the white man, black man. Ancient time, we didn't see color that way. Okay, it wasn't racist like that. Okay, understand that. So, well, no, I'm gonna tell you, when you hear Greek, when you hear Western, that means white. You hear anything other than Egyptian, Ethiopian, Nubians, they are white people. That's all. What's the big, come on, man, that's what it was. Simple, we knew that. And the Greeks, who not only renamed the city of Memphis, but they also renamed numerous temples, renamed deities, and historical personalities. I gotta be careful. They changed pretty much everything their way. They didn't create nothing. The Greeks appear guilty as Trump was of the charges that they found him of a number of severe etymological crimes. Etymological is changing words, names, meanings. They have been guilty of that since the beginning. And who followed them? The Romans. They even less smarter, okay? And what's this? They crime produced what? They changed the name Khufu to Cheops, okay? I call him Tahuti. They call him Thoth or Hermes Trismegistus or Mercury in Roman. Tahuti is his name. What's the need to change? Because suit them again, and the same time causing almost inexcutable confusion. Again, right there, you don't know who's this, who's that. The same person. Hathor, Hethanu, two different, same person. See why they keep changing the names to confuse everybody to fit their construct. Even among even among the scholars, they make it hard. And since certain Greek names, such as Memphis, have taken such prominence that the proper Egyptian names are seldom used. I go to great length to keep using the authentic Egyptian name. Why? I'm tired of hearing these people. I don't know them by them names. I want to teach my people by them name. I teach an original name. Why? That's how I teach what I'm teaching. Moving on. And again, while in other cases, the Egyptian, the Egyptians' names prevail, and in still other cases, you got the Greek Egyptian are freely interchanged. Why? Because Osiris, Asar. No. That's just me personal, all right? We got a writer called Chancellor Williams, educator. Great. All these people I studied under, while they was alive. And the earliest African name to describe the land now referred to as Egypt, there was no Egypt before the black king from whose name it was indirectly derived. Before that, you ready? The country was called Chem. C-H-E-M or K-H-E-M. The C and the K would go different ways, okay? Or Chimmy or Kimmy. Another name indicating its black inhabitants. Everything they say about Kim, it was for meaning black, okay? And because the Egyptians saw us as black face instead of black or niggers, they call us Egyptians. And that stuck. It's like an aggravating nickname they give you at birth, and you can't shake it. Moving on, just to give you a concept. And it annoyed the hell out of me. And watch this. There was another name indicating that the black inhabitants, and not the color of the soil, because the soil was black soot. They know that, but that's what fertilizer. As some writers have needlessly strained themselves in asserting. Misunderstanding. Okay. Now, prior to the Greek use of the word Egypt, Africans referred to their land as Kemet. Why would it change? That is the black land. Egypt mean birthplace, but why we got to use their interpretation of us? And Kemet was the strongest term used by the ancients and Pharaonic times, indicated blackness for a reason. It meant coal black, blue black, black, perfect black, whatever you want to call it. But the word Kemet, spelled K-M-T without the vowels, written in hieroglyphic form, was represented, by a block of wood or burnt charcoal, was charred at the end, and the name which the people of Kemet called themselves was Kemu, which literally translated as what? The blacks. Nubians, black. Ethiopians, black. So Egyptians been black, but again, from their perspective, I don't like that. All right, watch this. So the word Kemu, Kemiu, was also used to what? Describe the vast population that inhabited a considerable portion of the Nile Valley. In ancient times, there was no physical distinction made between the people who occupied the same land we call Egypt and Sudan, Nubia, Ethiopia. The ancient Egyptians saw themselves as blacks who were portrayed as no different from other blacks in Africa, but were physically and phonetically different from the Indo-Europeans, Caucasoid, white, okay, or the Semites, the mulattoes, the mix, the Indo-Europeans, Caucasoid, the Semites, the mulattoes, and Charles Finch informs us that the ancient Egyptian word from the African lands of the south of them was kente, okay, kin to you, denoting what? The Sudanic people who lived there, and this is also their word for the first forest beginning origins of what they call the chief. Okay, they had their own identification. I'm writing it out, closing it out. I see the clock. All right, right here, right quick. The author's note: for the purpose of historical clarity, we will henceforth use the word Kemet to describe ancient Egypt. I agree and concur 100%. You will hear me say Kemet more than you hear me say Egypt. Watch this. Now, they started this circa 3200 BCE. Watch this. Now, through the 3rd century BCE, the word Egypt will be used to describe the land after what? The Greeks occupied it. Which occurred, watch this, the Greeks occupied it in 332 BCE. You know who came there? Alexander the Numbnuts. Okay, and from that point on, it was Egypt according to the Greeks. Why? Because they was in control. And from 332 BCE, the term BCE references, if you didn't know, it indicates which occurred before the common, or they say the Christian era. We know the common era. Christians are equal to before the Christian era. Christian was way before that already. How about that? Y'all done start that. So we can't do that common era, what it is, but they hyphenated Christian, all right, to appease them. And you got AC. Those are things that happen, events after what? The common era. The common era or Christian era begins with the birth of Jesus the Christ. I got a problem with that, but that's neither there. But as referenced by those nations who use what they call the Gregorian calendar, okay? They just changed and rearranged them and everything to suit their needs. So now, as we learn about them, you can't separate the two. They wove this up into the Egyptian fabric where they part of the Egyptian folklore and history. For those who don't really know, for those who know, I know them very well. And I knew them before I knew my Egyptian concept. Why? I learned this first. So that's my point. That's the lessons I want to show you how the Greeks, been doing their thing. And guess what? They haven't stopped. Moving on. That's the lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. And put my book back. I got some more information. I'll deal with that later. But in closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100, me, 100 miles a day. So I've never known of my right thinkers who understand how the Greeks did everything their way have passed away. I'm out.